This is my Splunk Cloud instance that I'm logged into. As you can see on the left in the apps panel, Data Manager is already available as a built-in application. This means there is no need to download any additional application or add-on to get Data Manager to work. Clicking on Data Manager takes me to the new data management page, which is where you can centrally manage all your data inputs and also create new ones. As you can see, I already have some pre-configured data inputs. Now let's go ahead and create a new data input for Microsoft Azure. So I click on New Data Input. It takes me to the Cloud Service Provider page. Here I select Microsoft Azure and then I click on Next. Currently, Data Manager supports ingesting data from two key Azure data sources. Azure Active Directory logs, ingesting which gives you the ability to generate insights to gain visibility into the sign-in patterns of your users, system activities, related to users, groups, and applications, and gain insights into your system's health. And Azure Activity Logs, ingesting which you can generate insights to gain visibility into subscription level events, learn when a resource such as virtual machine or network security groups are created or modified. For the purpose of this demo, I'm going to select Azure Active Directory Logs and then proceed to the next step. So I go and click on Azure Active Directory Logs, click on Next, which takes me to the prerequisites page, which is a very critical step which you must complete before proceeding, as this helps Data Manager ensure that Data Manager has the right permissions to validate some of your inputs and able to communicate with the right set of Azure resources. On the right, we have a nice flow diagram which walks you through all the configuration steps in detail. For prerequisites, first you need to register your application in Azure portal to establish a trust between Data Manager and your Azure portal. Once this is done, you need to obtain a client secret for authentication. And finally, you need to make a note of some of the key identifiers of your Azure portal, which you'll later require in the configuration process. Now for this demo, I already have all these prerequisites configured. So I'm going to move ahead with the actual configuration of Data Manager. So when I click on Next, I have to give a certain name to my data input. Here I give Azure Active Directory Logs because that's what I'm ingesting. And I provide the tenant ID, Azure Client ID, client secret, which I made a note of earlier for my prerequisites. I also provide the Event Hub subscription ID. I skip resource group name because I let Data Manager application create that for me. And I pick a region where all my underlying infrastructure is going to be deployed in Azure. In this case, US East. I can also apply tags to my resources in Azure, but I'm going to skip that for now. And I'm going to map all the data sources to the main Splunk index and click on Next. Here I can review my entered inputs. Everything looks fine. So I click on Next, which will then generate the ARM template, which you have to provide to your Azure admin, who can run this to deploy the necessary infrastructure for ingestion with Data Manager. For this demo, I'm going to actually use the PowerShell command and run this command in my Azure portal. So I go to Azure. Solar SCDM is the actual application I've registered for this data input. I click on PowerShell, which opens up the PowerShell terminal at the bottom, as you can see in blue. This is the place where I'm going to actually paste the command which I just copied from Data Manager. And once pasted, I will hit enter, which will start then deploying the necessary infrastructure like Event Hub namespace, Azure Functions, Azure Storage, which are required for ingestion using Data Manager. You can also navigate to resource group, which is going to be created by this to see if it's already created. I'll quickly show you a nice trick on how to locate your resource group because there are going to be plenty of resource groups already present here. So I already know which one is mine. It's right here. And the way to do that is you can actually go back to your Data Manager page in the URL. See that number beginning with 77? That is what also comes up in the actual resource group name, beginning with 77. So that I know that's my resource group. And here you go. All your infrastructure is already deployed and set up, which means this should already be communicating and reporting back to Data Manager. So the Data Manager should be getting data already. So, but before that, let's complete the final step, which is actually setting up the Azure Active Directory diagnostic settings. This is required. to make sure, to tell Azure which events we're capturing. So we will go ahead and create a new diagnostic setting for Azure Active Directory. So navigate to Azure Active Directory. I'll close PowerShell now, and I will scroll down to the diagnostic setting. And I will add a diagnostic setting here on this page. I'm going to select all the categories of logs because I'm interested in all of them. So I select all, and then I have to provide a nice name to this diagnostic setting. I'll give it an SCDM, and then I check the box which says stream to an event hub. Now when you do that, you must ensure that the inputs here actually match the inputs given on the data manager page. So let's go back and see, oh, the event hub namespace seems to be different. So I will go back and I will change that to make it match. There you go. And then event hub policy name looks different as well. Needs to be event hub auth. So I go back and I change that too. And once it's done, you can click on save and save your diagnostic setting. So all your steps are complete now in terms of configuration. So I go back to data manager, and then I will complete the final step, which is click on review, finish setup, and monitor data input. And let's see if this input can now communicate to those resources or not. It looks like not just yet. It is still showing as running. It's not completed under status. Let's hit refresh once, and success. So it looks like we are communicating. So this means that we should already have some data flowing in. So let's go back to data management page and see if our input is showing up as success here as well. The third one is the one we created recently, Azure Active Directory logs. Now to actually generate or to force this to generate some logs, you can actually sign out and sign in, because remember, sign-in patterns are something which are captured by Azure Active Directory logs. So logging out and logging in again into the Azure portal should generate a log, and that should be visible when we go ahead and search on the current input. So I'm signed in now. So let's go back to Data Manager, and let's click on Open and Search. It's a nice shortcut available here, which helps you search on the data being ingested for that particular input. And yes, there it is. Identity Solasha, operation name, sign activity. So it's already flowing in and it's already available here, as you can see. This is the activity we just completed, sign out and sign in. So it's showing up at the top of the log, which is great. Now, there are a few other things that Data Manager also offers. You can also edit and delete the data input. If you're deleting, then you do want to make sure that you go ahead and clean up your underlying Azure infrastructure before you delete the input here. Otherwise, you will get billed for those resources. And then, you can see the data input details on the data management data input details page. That completes my demo, and I'm hoping this was simple enough for you to try out Data Manager today.